Hi, my name is Rakiba Lillaborn, and welcome to Let's Talk Property New York, a video series that delves into the fascinating world of real estate. Today we have a guest, Gary Rozmus of GEI Consultants. He's a senior consultant. He's going to talk about the intersection between environmental consulting, real estate development, and the revitalization of communities. On today's episode of Let's Talk Property New York, we have a special guest, Gary Rozmus, senior consultant from GEI Consultants. He's going to talk about the intersection of environmental consulting and real estate development. Welcome, Gary. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
So, Gary, please define for us what is environmental consulting so that our viewers can understand exactly what that means.
Sure. Well, certainly we're talking about real estate and real estate development. So what we're talking about in a great deal is in New York City metro area is the fact that most of the property is contaminated in one way or the other. From urban fill materials that are over ages have been laid down to make the property flat and to extend out into the waterways. So we have a good deal of that. And then there are other things. There are manufacturing that went on, or if there are fuel oil tanks in the ground. Sometimes there's dry cleaners that have leaked and things like that that have impacted the properties.
I see. Thank you. So when you are doing consulting, do you find that primarily real estate developers or home purchasers would need this type of service?
Principally looking at the real estate developers who are looking at the concerns the biggest. However, if you're a private individual going to buy something and it is possibly contaminated, there are protections in place under the regulations that you should be aware of and then look to take advantage of so that you can protect yourself as best possible.
So at what point would you suggest either real estate developers or first-time purchasers or purchasers of property engage in environmental consulting?
What we like to see is it happen right away. And oftentimes it gets pushed out and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we forgot, we got to take care of this, and things then get caught up in, well, we do have to take care of these things because there are innocent landowner provisions that you need to take steps to provide for, so you need to do that as soon as you can.
I see. Do you find that in a case where there's a contaminant site, the seller and the buyer both would engage environmental consultants?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
And why would that be necessary?
Well, because the seller is obligated beyond where the buyer is looking to protect themselves. So they need to be able to make sure that they are clearly defining what the conditions are and who is responsible for what situation on the site.
I see. Now I know you provided some material on brownfields. Can you explain to us what brownfields are and why that's important in real estate development?
Sure. So brownfields is a term that's commonly used to define or talk about sites which are contaminated, sites which are blighted. So they act to depress an area's economic revitalization and development. So that's the way the term brownfields got tied into it. And the brown is because of the contamination issue, as opposed to green fields where you're talking about uncontaminated virgin sites. So that's where the brownfields come from.
And in your opinion, what are some of the major environmental concerns in New York City specifically that would be of concern for people invested in real estate or looking to invest in real estate?
The biggest concerns are related to, as I mentioned before, the historic fill. So you've got contaminated soils or materials that are like soils on the site. And many times, depending upon how the site had to be built up in the past, there might be from anywhere from 6 to 60 feet of fill on the site, or 6 to 15. So you're going to run into that material, and you've got to understand how you're going to manage it within the context of construction. Manage it so that you can properly dispose of it, and as well making sure that you're doing it in a way that allows you to capitalize on the tax credits and things like that are available.
I see. Is there anything that you think investors, developers, purchasers should know about that I haven't mentioned?
Other than that, in terms of steps, you'll commonly run into the terms phase 1, phase 2. So a phase 1 is a non-invasive look at a piece of property. It's a desktop search, and you're trying to identify if there are areas of concern based upon just looking at it and reviewing documents. And then once you've got that, then you can say, now let's focus on areas if there are a concern. You can collect some data, which is actually samples then, whether it be of the soils, with groundwater, soil vapor. It could even be parts of the building which might have asbestos and lead-based paint that have to be dealt with. And the phase 1 report also sets you up to put in place some of the protections I mentioned earlier. To get it starts the process of the liability protection for the buyer.
Thank you. So about how long, is there a typical time frame for consulting? I'm wondering, or is there a range of time that someone can expect when engaging an environmental consultant on a property?
So the times, let's say if you started out with the phase 1, you can generally turn around phase 1 in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. You do have to buy some database information and maps and things like that. Now, if you're going to get out into a phase 2 and you're going to actually collect samples, you've got to factor into account that you're going to be testing it, time in the lab, things like that. So you can run into 6 weeks until you get some data, let's say, that you can make some sense out of. And then once you've got that, then the question is, where do you go from there? Are you going to move forward with the deal, and then how are you going to take advantage of the state and city programs, possibly, if necessary? And that then sets up certain time frames as well.
So Gary, what are some additional benefits outside of development and purchasing that have been realized as a result of environmental consulting in New York?
Well, when you look at the 2 programs, both the state and the city program, and by the way, the city program is the only municipal program of its kind in the country. It was originally intended to turn these contaminated sites back into productive reuse, and it has been tremendously successful, putting tax credits in the hands of developers. And what that does then is it turns that into them putting their own money in it's 7 to 1, 8 to 1 times. And it's put properties back on the tax rolls, generating jobs, and just revitalizing neighborhoods because some of these contaminated properties are now put back into productive reuse.
Thank you so much, Gary Rozmus, for coming today, being our guest. Gary Rozmus, Senior Consultant from GEI Consultants, explaining the intersection between environmental consulting, real estate development.
Thank you.